Hello. So we're back on Friday night, which is unusual for us, actually. So we were supposed to be on last night with Mike Castellero, and my mom went back in the hospital. So those of you that kind of follow us regularly, I haven't been on that much. Both my parents are 87 and 86. They haven't been married for since high school, but both of them almost lost both of them in the same month. My mother, at 87, somehow got coronavirus, a retrovirus, and it turned into pneumonia, and she was in ICU, and we almost lost her. My father had heart problems. Believe it or not, he works out every day, that old bastard. Every day he goes to a gym. He's the one that got me working out back in the day. He used to box in the Navy and all that stuff. And he had to have three stents put in right away and a heart valve. They had to wait for him to recover. And so then last night we had to take my mom back to the ER. It's been kind of crazy. Then we moved. We sold our house. We're renting until we get the hell out of Illinois and figure out where we want to go. So we're still unpacking. Um, and then I'm taking care of some other legal stuff that you guys will be very glad to hear about in the near future. So, oh, there's Mike. So, let me for those of you this is the first time, Mike's been on our show a while ago, and Mike has sentencing next week, and he was part of a crime. Without getting into it too much, with a crime that the left said, you know how they targeted me big time, right? They weaponized law enforcement, the Department of Justice, Southern Poverty Law Center to come after us, right? So I mean, I was in SPLC twice. FBI was at my house. They targeted me. They said I was a terrorist. Thank God I didn't get arrested. Matt Gates stuck up for me. Troy Niels, I was taken off the list. But they went after my job, my career. Lost my job after 23 years. And it was all because of the left and weaponizing the Department of Justice, labeling me as a domestic terrorist when I did nothing wrong. I didn't go in the Capitol. I wasn't even there when people went in the Capitol, right? So Mike's got a kind of financial spin about what he was doing, actually in a way trying to give access to those that don't have the opportunity to get into an IPO, initial public offering, for those of you who don't know what that means. So like when companies are going to go public, it's really hard. You got to know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy to get in. So it's kind of like that, right? You got to know somebody unless you're part of the company, you're part of the investment company. And so if you follow stocks, a lot of times they blow their number out, right? When they go public, right? And so people try, I mean, it's a dream thing to get in early. So Mike did that. Without getting into all the details, the Biden administration came after him before Trump took office and got a case saying that he stole money, which is not true. Actually, I kind of read read it a little bit. They were bitching about making too much profit or something. Like I just said you were making too much profit or something, which doesn't matter as long as the people are making money. It's to me it doesn't matter. So anyway, let me read a little bit about Mike here. My dark. I didn't even set the studio up yet because I'm doing this off my phone. All right, so today we have an explosive interview. I used AI, guys, for this. I used AI. You don't want a Southside Dago summary, right? We have a Mike Castellero, a proud Hispanic American entrepreneur, RNC life member, devoted husband, father, fierce MAGA patriot who's been relentlessly targeted by the deep state. We all know about that. The feds hit Mike with a bogus securities fraud, wire fraud, investment advisor fraud charges tied to his straight path venture partners. They claimed it was a massive scam involving pre-IPO shares, but Mike and the supporters call it pure lawfare, politically motivated takedown of a successful Trump-supporting businessman using high-pressure tactics, hidden fees, misleading disclosures as the excuse. Now, with the Obama-appointed, remember that, Obama-appointed Trump-hating leftist judge and the Biden anti-Trump prosecutors pushing for more prison time, partially because Mike stood out bold and spoke to media about on podcasts like ours and a dozen others. This is a textbook case of weaponizing the justice system against MAGA voices. So tonight, Mike's going to break down, uh, makes a case for a Trump pardon. That's part of the reason we're doing this. He has a lot of balls to do this the week before he's being sentenced. The prosecutor sent a letter from his interviews on a number of different podcasts. So the prosecutor is trying to influence the judge to give him more time because he had the balls to speak what he is his version of what really happened. So he's not supposed to do that in the United States of America. So to me, this seems like an opportunity for an appeal, undue influence on the judge before the guy gets sentencing, claiming because he has First Amendment rights that don't align with the prosecutor's wishes, both scumbags are going to probably try to hit him hard. So you got to give this guy a lot of respect and courage to come on the show and speak his mind a week before he gets fucking sentenced. It's a
Yep.
big deal. And I respect him greatly for that, to have the balls and the courage to continue to stand his ground. And hopefully somebody within the Trump orbit, a lot of people are reaching out, are going to get to him to help fix this wrong of being a financial political prisoner by the left, right? So, with that said, Mike, welcome back. Welcome
Thank
back
you
there,
for
sir.
having me. Thank
Thank you for
you.
being here.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I think you nailed it all on the head. I mean, we don't even have to interview anymore after what you said. But
Yeah,
yeah, you know, it's I'm a father and a husband first, and that's why I'm here. Because if I sat idly by, they would just take my home, take everything, and put my wife and kids on the street and throw me in jail. So who's going to be
Yeah.
the good one? I'll be okay. I'll have 3 square meals and a roof over my head, and
you'll be
my wife.
working out like crazy, man. You're going to be in the best shape of your life.
Right, but and then what are my wife and kids? Right,
No, that's what I meant. You're gonna have your meals. You're gonna be working out. You'll be at a camp, and your family is gonna be figuring out how are they gonna pay the mortgage. Your kids are gonna be distraught. They're gonna have to go fucking visit you and that shit. I was embarrassed. I didn't want that many. I felt disrespected to my mother, my ex-wife, who I can't stand anyway, but my baby, and I felt bringing them into. Not everybody's a white collar, it's just you're mixed in, even though you're at a camp, and it's like I felt awful, right? And have to put your family through that. So that's another reason why you're back on this show. And again, I give you my greatest respect. And oh, by the way, you scumbags that are watching from the DOJ that are watching all his podcasts, just there's a disclaimer. Everything I say about insulting you scumbags is from me. Has nothing to do with Mike. So don't go bitching and whine and send another fucking letter to the judge. It's me. It's me, Terry Newsom. You're fucking scumbags. All right. So go ahead, Mike.
All right. Um, so we had a pre-IPO fund. We made people boatloads of money, 2 to 3x returns on their investments. In 2020 to 21, the election gets stolen. We know that. By the end of 21, our lawyers are telling us that the SEC wants us to pay a fine from a routine audit. You know, unbeknownst to me, they used that to catapult us to a voluntary shutdown in February 12th of 2022 for 2 weeks, or we negotiate a fine. And by May 13th of 2022, they basically put a gun to our head and say, if you guys want to pay us 75 million and give us your company, this problem goes away. We're like, what problem? You're short $14 million in stock. I'm like, what do you mean? No, we're not. So still can't find the shortage. The company got taken by a non-U.S. government approved receiver by Judge Kaplan at the Southern District of New York. E. Jean Carroll, because there's been a lot of news on E. Jean Carroll lately.
Yeah, I
Hey,
think
well,
that.
sorry, Mike. What is the name of the receivership? I want to look into them later. What's the name of them?
Her name is Megan Siganowski. The name of the receivership slips my mind, but
Yeah, send it to me later. I want to look into them.
not approved by the U.S. government. We found that out recently. They said we
Unbelievable.
were short on like 7 out of 17 holdings, which we still can't find. One of the companies, our biggest holding that we were short is a company called Rubric that went public, I think, in 23. And they said we were short about 50,000 shares, and they're actually ahead of the game 50,000 shares, which we have to prove to show that. It's an investment that our clients would have made 8x, I think 6 to 8x on their return. But being that the receiver has it, they have to make their money and the clients get the share because they did this in the best interest
Yeah,
of the client.
yeah.
but yet
Yeah.
the clients are beyond unhappy with a government entity than with us. Go figure.
Of course.
Hey, Mike, did in your trial, did the government have witnesses that went to the stand and said that you screwed them?
4 out of
Did they?
2,200.
And were there the four that got screwed because of the receivership taking the money, or was right?
Yes, it's all. So
I knew it.
So let me tell you about my 3 favorite ones. 3 came in and basically called us to want to invest with us. Now, should it was through an entity or through a broker dealer or through one of our referral agents, I don't know exactly which one, but I know that they engaged us because all 3, the common trend on the transcript, and it's on the transcript. My neighbor, my best friend, made a ton of money with Straight Path on Airbnb and Palantir, so I wanted to invest with them. One guy, his father and his father's best friend, I believe, made a ton of money with Palantir and Airbnb. And he's a forensic accountant. And he was just there because he was salty. But being that at the criminal trial, they blocked the word receiver, and us being able to how in a financial crime do you block math?
Mm-hmm.
How do you block math? The math is either going to doom you or save you. And I've always said the math is what sets us free. And they, at the last minute, threw a Hail Mary and got the math blocked by Judge Jesse Firm.
So, guys, because we get a lot of Southsider folks, friends of mine, that are on the phone. So, all due respect, guys, I know some of you don't know what receiver means, right? So it's like, and I'm just going to make up numbers, right? So, say somebody gets arrested by the feds and there's a financial crime, right? And people are owed money because of this financial crime. And I'm just making a number up, right? Say it's $100 million. They say the damages are to the people that were ripped off, right? For whatever reason it is. So the judge appoints a receiver. A receiver is basically a company that comes in and looks at what assets the company that's being charged, right, for the crime, and then they take all these assets and they try to give what's left back to the people who are owed money, all right? So there's like $100 million in outstanding payments you're supposed to make to the customers. The receivership comes in and they charge $90 million to say, here's $10 million left. I'm just throwing numbers out there, right, Mike? I mean,
you're not far off
yes.
on this.
but just so you know, this happened to Steve Byers. Those of you guys, he was a $250 million affinity fraud. A friend of mine, I thought he was, my brother lost $1.5 million. He did this with people from the Hamptons and stuff, and so that's why I learned my brother, after the receivership got back of his like 1 million something, he got like 150,000 because the receivership burned once they tracked down the money and everything. They used so much of it for their attorneys, their friends, their accountants, the law firms, right? And they go, oh, we're doing the account. It's like a big accounting deal. They got gazillions of accountants making a fortune, right? They're charging premium bill rates for attorneys and accountants to do forensic accounting, and then they go back and they fucking burn it. They know, and then they figure, okay, we're going to give the rest to the victims, and then they blame the person who committed the crime, supposedly, right? That doesn't mean, and they blame him, and then that is attributed towards you, and that's what happened to you, right, Mike?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the receiver, I think, has generated anywhere from 18 million to 30 million in fees.
In fees. Do you hear that, guys?
Screwing the customers. They've locked down, I think, they locked down SpaceX, which was like a 10x in the fund, right? They liquidated it, and they've kept like, I think, 70 or 80% of the money in their account because they need to cover their expenses.
Yeah, they kept transactions from going forward as well, right? Which, so just so you know, when Mike said it, $25 million, well, that money is money that's supposed to go to the people that invested into his company, right?
Yeah.
So they took that, and then you're going to have people who say, "What the fuck, man?" The people that he said testified, the 4 of them, were victims of the receivership burning through the money, right, and using it to go and do forensics and legal bullshit, and to say, "Oh, sorry, buddy, there's no money left. But by the way, we got paid first, and too fucking bad.
So we had our company was structured a certain way. We charged a markup, which was disclosed to everybody because we have to pay to keep the lights on, and we have to pay sales agents and brokerage firms and so on.
Sure.
Right. And then we made, which probably I'd say 60% of our money was made off the profit that we made customers, 20% back end profit. So if you invested $100,000 with me and I made you 100,000, I'd give you 180,000 back. I'd keep 20 for myself as the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they said that's not good enough. They said a guy should have invested 100,000. I'm not a 501c.
Yeah, Mike, because I did a little research beforehand. It looked like the fucking government was bitching that you made too much profit, and it wasn't. Right? Is that kind of a quick summary of what they said?
Yeah, they said our clients, instead of our clients, like in the trial, they used this as they had a chart, right? They said they brought in they spend millions of taxpayer dollars on experts. That the guy shows up. Oh, if he would have invested and bought the Airbnb shares at $10, let's say, and they would have never charged a markup, the customer would have made 140%. But instead, he only made 100% return. Like you're trying to say that I'm a bad guy for doubling somebody's money and taking a 20% back end.
Yeah. So those of you guys who understand, so why would the Biden administration come after him for this? So you don't understand the financial part of it. So IPOs are typically initial public offering. It's a boys club, I guess, easiest way. You got to know somebody, right? So Mike found a way, without spending a lot of time on it, he found a way that he could get access to it and kind of consolidate other people investing and let them have the opportunity to get involved in an IPO, which they never normally would have been able to get involved in on their own. I mean, how many of you people get upset when you see, oh, look at this IPO and the thing goes through the roof? Damn it, I wish I got involved. So Mike's company figured out a way to do that and let people that don't have the access to those IPOs to do that. So if you think about this, Biden, you're right, they talk about the corrupt Republicans. So many corporations are Democrats. They're brainwashed CEOs that were my age, went to college, right? And they're bitching about, wow, so they feel that Mike is giving people access to make money that shouldn't because they're not in the club. I'm kind of embellishing a little. I mean, it's kind of truthful. And, right, Mike, how I'm explaining it is
listen, we figured it out. The few $1 million that we were making was costing billions to the big Goldmans, Morgans, all the ones that manipulate all the IPOs because they didn't want mom and pop investors owning their shares. They wanted to hoard these shares for themselves. And
Mike, where did you get indicted out of?
Southern District of New York.
Where do the financial institutions hang around about?
Right there.
Oh, bingo! That's a coincidence.
Yeah.
So let me read this little summary about this letter. So there was a letter that this fucking prosecutor who was appointed by Biden. So you had an Obama judge and a Biden prosecutor going after Mike. So you heard the whole story, Southern District of New York, IPO and everything, right? And so then they saw Mike trying to speak his mind, and he knows he didn't do anything wrong. So just because you're indicted, think about this, folks, right? Just because you're indicted and convicted or you take a plea or whatever doesn't mean you're guilty. It does not mean you're guilty, right? How many people that were on death row that got out, right? That you think are murderers, that were innocent through DNA and stuff, right? So he has the right to share his opinion on our show, Diamond and Silk show, anyone's show, right? Just because these two jerk-offs in New York came after him politically doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to share his opinion and think he got fucked. So here I'm going to read to you what the prosecutor sent to his buddy, the judge, to try to punish Mike for sharing his opinion on what happened, just like he is on this show, right? Okay, there's a letter, May 13th, just 1 week before Mike's sentencing on May 20th. Prosecutor Allison Nichols and the Southern District of New York team filed a 13-page letter to the Obama judge, Jesse Furman. It's their direct response to the judge's order asking about Mike's media presence. Oh, so the judge asked. They monitored Mike's every interview. The letter list dozens of Mike's podcast appearances, including Behind Enemy Lines. This is from AI. I didn't say that. Diamond and Silk, Battlefront, The Targeted Show, Flip and Switch, Ex-America News. That's you, Mike.
Yep.
And more, with direct links to Rumble and YouTube. They quote Mike against himself. The prosecutors cherry pick timestamps and quotes where Mike says, "We fully disclosed everything to the SEC. There was no corrective action notice. The obstruction charge was a misunderstanding. Markups were fully disclosed. There were, and this is in bold, no victims, no share shortfall. This was political targeting because I supported Trump. Now, their big demand, they're explicitly asking the judge to treat Mike's public explanations in defense of himself, First Amendment right, as false statements that show lack of remorse, and to use them as a reason to give Mike harsher time, more sentence. Free speech attack. This is the government literally running to the judge saying, punish this guy because we went on podcasts and told his side of the story. This isn't sentencing, Meadow. It's a hit list on Mike's First Amendment rights. The Biden prosecutor is terrified of Mike speaking the truth on shows like this one. So they're begging the Obama judge to make him pay for his fucking crimes. How's that, Mike?
It's pretty good. I mean, they named President Trump like 6 or 7 times in that 13-pager, I think.
Yeah, and tell people about this fucking punk ass.
If he got that document, I think if he got that document, he'd blow a gasket.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Tell him about. And while he's doing this, I created a picture of this judge. I did research for the show. Mike put it up. Mike Lauber put up the judge. I did this, and then Mike talk about this judge, right? And what he did against Donald Trump and some of the cases and Comey's daughter and all this bullshit. Talk a little bit about it so it reflects how fucking biased this guy is.
So Judge Jesse Furman, who's Jewish and religious, on March 8th, I believe, one of the first deportations that the Trump administration was doing was deporting Mahmoud Khalil. He was screaming in Columbia University, death to Israel, death to Israel.
Yeah.
And President Trump wants to get him out, and Judge Furman blocks it. I was threatened. So after that, I was threatened with denaturalization.
You?
Yeah, because I came to this country when I was 10 with my parents legally, as with our green cards.
Oh, I didn't know that. Those fuckers.
I became a citizen at 18, and the judge actually, the AUSA called my attorney and told her, he goes, "We're going to go to save taxpayer money, right? We're going to go to Judge Furman, use whatever law he used to block that deportation, to apply it to deport Mr. Castellero and just take all his assets. So now you're going to throw me out of the country, and you're going to put my wife and kids on the street."
So guys, listen to very closely what this bullshit is, right? We got judges like this piece of shit fighting to keep scumbag criminals, right? Guys that are peddling children, sexual assault, right? To keep them in the United States. And they are going to go and reverse it on Mike and deport him, right? This judge, put that piece of shit's picture back up there, Mike. This judge is a piece of shit. He's an Obama appointed fool, right? He's a piece of shit. He's the one that deserves to go in jail. He's the one that's going against our country. He's weaponizing the judicial system with this Department of Justice prosecutor to target people that don't agree with the radical leftist views. Case in point, he blocked a criminal. He blocked a criminal who doesn't belong in America from being deported while wanting to deport Mike. This you don't need anything more to know. This guy's a fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
So I look at that 13-page write-up as they're lying to cover the truth, right?
Yeah.
But how are they allowed to put stuff on paper and lie? That's the part that boggles my mind. And from day one, from when they took the company from us, the SEC examiner said everything he says. 6 days later, we depose him, and holy shit! Like 6 days later, he contradicts everything that he said on a write-up versus what he put on on a deposition. What he says in the deposition, he's like, "Oh, I was too busy to look at their brokerage accounts. I was too busy, so I just assumed." And that's why. And look what they did to take the company from us. They created a Ponzi like scheme. I don't. Again, we've had this conversation before. I don't know what either you are or you're not. You're not a, either you're a
Yeah.
man or a woman. You're not in between, right?
Well, they don't know that, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So either your Ponzi like scheme. I still don't know what in God's green earth that is. And then 18, like almost 2 years, two and a half years go by. By the end of 23, they're indicting us as investment advisors, which we were not. We were an exempt reporting advisor.
Mhm.
They built the case. Think about it this way: everything that they had to build against us, we handed to them in a silver platter.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing something wrong, I'm not going to just give you everything. Unfortunately, that's the nature of humans, right? Because we go into defense mode. We gave them everything.
Well, it sounds like you had an exonerating evidence once you had a chance to not cross-examine, but once you had a chance to speak with their witness. It sounds like he shot holes in their case anyway. Were you not allowed to present this to the jury?
Everything. Well, it sounds like you had it exonerating
So Jesus Christ, sorry.
speak with their.
It all
Sorry about that.
changed at charging instructions. Everything. I saw the team of 5 lawyers leave trial every day with a smile. And I'm talking about, my lawyer's, he's a more doomsdayer type of guy. And every day we're leaving, he goes, I didn't think we'd be here this day. I didn't think we'd be here. And then all of a sudden, because it's 4 out of 6 charges is we have to prove that we're not investment advisors. And we did that. And at charging instructions, that changed. Judge Furman basically told him to charge us as investment advisors.
So people have to understand, right? So you got when you hire an attorney, and this happened, people. I got in trouble 35 years ago, state and federal prison, changed my life big time. But I got a divorce, civil cases. But people have to understand is that when you hire an attorney, right, you want to get a good one. So, well, sometimes those attorneys are more concerned about their relationship with the prosecutors for further cases than fighting their asses off. Not to say that all attorneys are like that, but most are, right? So they want to keep that relationship intact. And they talk behind the scenes, not necessarily to represent the best interests of
They
their
talk right
client.
in front of you.
I'm telling you that, right? And my divorce attorney, Steve Body's a piece of shit. A day ago, I got referred to by my buddies, and I got custody of my daughter with all my baggage. My ex-wife was drinking and all kinds of shit, right? And I waited a whole year to go back for child support because she stopped seeing my daughter. I gave this guy $3,500 to get $100 a month from my ex-wife as a principal thing because she didn't see her. It was like, fuck you. I just wanted $100 a month. It cost me more than that. The guy wasn't prepared, right? I'm out in the hallway. I start swearing at him and stuff, right? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You weren't even prepared. Drop this. I gotta work. He's like yelling at me. I gotta work with these people in the hallway, hearing me yell at them. I said, I don't give a fuck who you gotta work with. I'm paying you to represent me. I go, you weren't even prepared. And so that was a little snippet into, he was more worried about people hearing me yell at him, even though he wasn't prepared to defend me. He did nothing. And then I went back as pro se and I won child support a month later. The dumb felon. The guy was, so his concern was more, and this is little compared to what you're going through, right? So that attorney, I don't know him, but he probably works in that area as a federal court judge. I'm sorry, as an attorney, right, defending federal cases. So he doesn't want to push too hard because he's going to be there making a living. His income is based off of working in front of those judges, in front of those prosecutors. People have to understand that there's so much bias. Think about the Democrats now. They want to get rid of all the Supreme Court justices, just like Virginia, right?
Yeah.
But when Trump called a bias on that La Raza judge or whatever, oh, how dare you? Judges aren't biased. Oh, remember back 5 years ago, that one judge that ruled against them or something? I don't know if it was La Raza. I forgot what group he was a member of. And they're like, how dare you, the Democrats say. Judges are not biased. Judges are fucking biased as shit, man.
They are. I believe I believe he had made up his mind about us way before even trial started.
Seems like it.
I think from day one he had already made up his mind about it, and multiple times my lawyers at the time, the ones that were my lawyers after the whole denaturalization thing, they said to me multiple times, Judge Furman can't wait to put you in jail. Now, where are they getting that from? Right? They're probably talking to the AUSA, so they know. And maybe, these people are just afraid because they know that they're doomed the minute they're walking into that building. That could be it too. Right? And they just don't know how to handle it. And they're just, I have to be able to negotiate for the next guy, and
So here's another thing that this judge is a piece of shit, right? He was on the case for Comey's daughter. Remember Comey's daughter when she got fired? You guys remember that?
I do.
Yeah, that's recent.
Yeah. So I mean, this guy is a biased piece of shit.
I mean, this is the problem.
He dismissed. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, this is part of the underlying problem with our whole legal system right now is all these judges and lawyers that are buddies that are basically cooking the books. They're making a deal without your consent, without the jury. They already know what the outcome is going to be, and that's what they're going to push for, especially there in New York. I mean, again, like you guys said, this is the same judge that let this ridiculous E. Jean Carroll case go forward. No evidence, no witness. Her story didn't add up. There were all kinds of holes in it, from when it happened to the dress to the department store. Just nothing adds up, but they push it through because they don't care. Same with Trump's other case in New York. I mean, a lot of these entire circuits, every one of these judges and attorneys should be drug out into the street and beat to death with a fire hose, because they're not there doing their job. They're not there to represent justice. They're there to essentially enrich themselves and push a political agenda. People like that shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the law. We really should just delete these whole districts and then rebuild them with new people. Bring people in from out of the state that don't know anybody, don't have any connections there, and keep them isolated. Because it's more important to have actual justice than to have these essentially political operatives there to further an agenda.
Yeah, I just want to read this quick snippet on Comey's daughter and this piece of shit judge. Put his picture up there while I'm reading, okay, Mike?
You got it.
Here's the lawsuit. Comey sued the government alleging she was fired solely because her father's political status and Donald Trump's enmity toward him, rather than professional misconduct. First of all, he could fire whoever the fuck he wants. Judge Furman's ruling: the Justice Department attempted to dismiss the lawsuit or force it to be handled by the Merit Systems Protection Board. But Judge Furman rejected the Department of Justice. Usually they agree with him, right? In this attempt, ruling that Comey's claims, which raise fundamental constitutional questions, so hopefully he applies that to you, Mike, about presidential removal of powers, can't proceed in federal court. So let's see how much he's worried about the Constitution when it relates to you, when the prosecutor's trying to influence this guy to punish you for your First Amendment rights. Let's see if this piece of shit clown is going to worry about the Constitution when this comes up next week, or is he going to overly punish you because you spoke out about your case?
I think if he overly punishes me, it shows even more, right? So it's like I can't just put my toe in. I got to dive head in, and I think it actually affirms government weaponization if it gives me more time for doing media.
Yeah.
Right? Is that like the outcome I want? No, I would obviously love to get pardoned. I'd love to get Peter Tickton become Attorney General, and he dismisses my case because he knows there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
God's blessing between now and Wednesday. There's a lot of action happening right now, right? And
yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like they really just wanted a scalp. They want to protect the other big hedge funds and all their buddies in New York and the financial districts. They don't care about justice. They want to make an example of you, so nobody else steps up and does the same thing.
Mike, a couple questions. So did your attorney ahead of time negotiate that you get to self-surrender? Do you know where you're going to go yet?
I don't know. I think.
Oh my God.
Getting figured out after.
So your sentencing is on the 20th, right? So this judge could say, okay, if he's not a jack I'm sorry. I'm supposed to stop swearing. I have a hard time. I'm so pissed off at this because I know what's going on. So your judge can say at the sentencing, all right, Mike, I'm going to give you, and it's like 10 plus years he could give you, right? Just say, all right, you're going to get 10 years. You have to self surrender at this level camp in so and so state prison, right? He could be a prick and take you right then and there.
He can, but my lawyer told me that's not happening.
Okay. So be
He
prepared.
said, because the next day is my daughter's birthday. He goes, you will be home for your birthday.
The judge said that, or the attorney?
No, my attorney said, you will be home for your birthday. You will have, he goes, you asked
You
me
got
to buy
about 4 weeks. You get about 4 weeks to self surrender. Typically.
He told me he was going to buy, he goes, I'm going to buy you till July 4th, like you asked me to.
Okay. All right. So and he probably means that until this fucking letter came out, right?
My lawyer asked me, because now I think it's all about mitigating risk, and he's like, "Do you want to walk any of these statements back?" I said, "I go, no, I want to double down." And he goes, "I'm not going to double down. We're just not going to address them because there's one at the last page of the last paragraph of that document. There was one that we did with Peter Tickton, me and my business partner Brian, on the Case for America, and Brian basically explained how we did our business, and they're trying to turn that against him. So he's twisted off the one statement that he said in that. So there's so many holes in their defense.
Yeah.
That we're going to an appeal, but at the same time, what's going to happen in that freaking appeal, right? Three of his friends are going to rule against him.
Yeah.
Right. So you're damned if you do, but damned if you don't, right? And you gotta keep fighting because I gotta keep a roof over my wife and kids, right?
Yeah.
And that's the
so
they said they wanted my wife's sunglasses in the forfeiture order.
No way.
I want to know if there's no victims, Terry, right? So yeah, we made $24 million each, and total paid out in commissions was about 115 million. But remember, we raised about 400 million, and we paid about $1.2 billion back to people in proceeds.
Yeah,
sure.
Right. So obviously, as that number grows, you're going to pay massive commissions out to people too, right? So they want full forfeiture of everything we have. They want everything from my house to my house in New York to our cars to my wife's sunglasses. They want her wedding band. They want her engagement ring. And then they want full restitution of $115 million on top of it. If there are no victims, who's keeping the money?
Yeah.
Well,
that's my question. Who's keeping the money?
Oh yeah, well the feds will keep the money, and they're not going to. So first of all, the receivership is fucking jacking up these, the cost to do the business for the feds, right? This is scary. That's why I asked you. I want to know the name of the receivership, right? We got to start looking back.
She's not even approved with the U.S. government. Judge Kaplan put her in, and she's an unapproved receiver with the U.S. government because the U.S. government suggested 3 receivers. The Securities and Exchange Commission did. We suggested 3. He wiped his ass with all 6 and picked who I always say it's his friend, but what else is it going to be? Why are you just going to pick somebody random, right? You're not going to just pick somebody because you like their name. You're picking, because you're getting a taste.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I want people to understand is that these fuckers charge $500 an hour for attorneys and shit, right? And there's no one to audit them. Right. So I know this personal experience from Steve Byers from Wex Trust Capital. It was international news. And I know so much about it, right? And they stole so much money through the receivership by padding the work to do an audit in behalf of the federal government to say the people lost this much money, but they charge almost all the money that's left right up to the top, and they leave scraps to give to the victims. They do. They leave scraps. to the victims. And then they go and they show up at the hearings, you know, in front of the judge about the receivership. Oh yeah, we're doing this to save money. We're cutting here. We're finding this. Oh yeah, we found this. And whatever they find, it's 20 million. They spend 15 million to find 20 million.
So it's 2026. Airbnb went public in December of 2020, right? Just as an example. If Airbnb still hasn't gone public today, I'm actually losing money because I'm not charging anything for carrying that investment for the customer.
Sure.
Because we only made a markup, small markup. We were the cheapest in the industry. That's why our company grew so fast. We made our money on volume. Right?
Yeah.
We were a volume-based business every step of the way. And we always said, if somebody's selling something for 10 cents higher, we're going to be 10 cents less. And we've always done that. So, because I also want these companies to go public, and I want them to skyrocket so much that what I charge in the front hinders my ability to make that 20%.
Yeah.
I wanted to make as much on that back end as profit because I wanted to pay myself as much as possible on the back end. This company was my legacy, and they fucking destroyed it. Pardon my French.
Yeah. So Mike, like, you know, hopefully something happens, some miracle, right, that you don't go. But if you go, you can make sure you give your wife's number to me. I'd like to have you, because you could call and stuff, and we'll have you on the show. Because we had some J6er guys on the show from jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that we can keep you visible, not locked up and not visible. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if that's the case, I would just leave her my phone and she could speak to the world.
I'm serious. So you know, like Jake Lang was interviewing for 4 years from prison, and that's a whole question in itself. When you're a J6er, I don't know why the fucking government, when he was in the hole, let him fucking do interviews. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's questionable. That's questionable in itself. But yeah, you'll be able to get phone calls that are timed. You put money on your books.
15 minutes.
Access the phone, and you have to put my number on the list, Mike. So make sure you bring that with you, right? So you got to put together a list of people you're going to call, right? And you know, whoever it is, and then you submit that list, and then you pay money to call out, and then we'll keep you on the air, keep you visible.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll discuss that off air and get that taken care of, because we've done it before. I've had several J6ers on my program from prison, so we can work this out.
We don't get that far.
Yeah, hopefully not.
That's what I said. That's what I said. God forbid. So, right? I mean, but just in case, you got to be prepared for anything, man.
Yep.
And I'm going to look into this piece of shit judge. Yeah, when some of your people are looking at this, your little junior attorneys, and fuck you guys. That's not Mike, that's me. It's not Mike, that's me. You got a judge that's going to try to stop a criminal from being deported, a criminal. That's all you need. You don't even talk about Mike's case. That shows this guy's a piece of shit. But then he's going to deport Mike? Are you serious? They're going to try to deport? I mean, that's all you need to say about this whole thing. You don't even need to get into this shit. The guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he wants to keep the anti-Semitic agitator that hates America, won't send him home. But he wants to boot out of the country immediately.
Yeah, imagine. So that last document, the one that you have that talks about a lot about my affinity for President Trump and so on, and saying that the government's weaponized against me and everything that they're stating, right? If they're stating this, if they're going so far to put a document and state that I'm saying that they came after me for being a Trump supporter, what do you think they're worried about?
Right.
They're worried about the truth coming out.
Yeah.
Right? Because nobody goes to that length to try to discredit me by saying it. Because if supposedly, according to them, I was lying about that, they wouldn't make a big deal out of it. They wouldn't make a big deal out of this document.
Yeah. Yeah. So
if
think of
somehow this document got to President Trump, he would blow a gasket.
Yeah.
I think he would go up. I mean, that just right there would make him probably call them to drop the whole thing. Yeah. If this got to somebody at the top of the DOJ, if this got to Jay Clayton, the head of the SDNY, which now they keep using his signature on the document left and right.
Yeah.
You know, he's a Trump appointed. He was He's the reason that my fund existed, Jay Clayton, and now he's the head of the SDNY. He was the head of the SEC under Trump's first term.
Yeah.
So
So
he should be appalled at this happening, especially when they're blaspheming his name by signing it as Attorney General on every freaking thing on this.
So people that are watching this, do me a favor, please repost this to get this out. It doesn't matter if you're on Facebook or X or whatever, just repost it out and tag your friends, because what we need to do is that I know, like Ann Vandersteel, she's awesome. I know she's trying to help you. People are trying to help you. Trump's busy with all this crazy shit going on. And I believe that if he gets a little bit of visibility, that he will get involved. But we gotta do everything we can to push this story out there, to try to let people see what's going on. And these two Obama-appointed judge and the Biden-appointed prosecutor are doing to people from our side. You got to push this out, all right?
No, the political operatives masquerading as judges.
Yeah. And it's funny is that you got all these leftists that are complaining right now. They're complaining right now. So we've been invaded by millions of illegals, right? Criminal, Trend Largo, gang members, MS-13 from all over the world, and so we've got Tom Homan and his guys investigating it, and so they diverted through Kash Patel some FBI agents to help look at these guys that are we've got our enemies in here. We've got cells in here, right? Trying to utilize the force of the federal government to go after it. But you know what? These pieces of shit leftist Democrats during January 6th, they made it the biggest investigation in the history of the FBI. So yes, the guys that attacked police officers should be punished. But they went after, they arrested 1,500 people. They said they're going to arrest another 3,000 more when they come into power. And they diverted the FBI away from everything. And not one Democrat bitched about it, to go after grandmas that walked into the Capitol that didn't do anything violently. And this shows the bias of these leftist scumbags that are destroying America. And these politically motivated cases from people like the Obama-appointed judge, or the Biden-appointed prosecutors, or the guys that came after me. I didn't do any. I was at January 6th, but I didn't do anything wrong. I was a local school board dad. I didn't fucking hurt anybody. I just said I didn't want blowjob pictures of my kid's school, and they made me a terrorist.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it's still happening. Like, I wouldn't expect President Trump to come in and all of a sudden, oh, this guy, he said he's a Trump supporter. Just reinvestigate it. That's it, right? Yeah. That's all we could ask, right? The government's saying this. Reinvestigate it. Re-look at the facts versus what they did with somebody else, rather than the people that were allowed to run rampant. And the facts stick. The AUSAs had my credit card statements, my bank statements. I was paying monthly dues to the Trump organization because I was a member of Trump Jupiter. There you go. You could tie me to Arctic Frost right then and there, right? Yeah. Every Trump organization account was audited. So they had the roster of every member without even having to subpoena it. They had it there via just tracking bank accounts.
Yeah. So, Mike, I don't know if I mentioned this last time you were on the show, and I got some Republican politicians helping me. I ran a FOIA last February on myself, from 2020 to to February of 2025. They came back and told me the FBI has 346 pages on Terry Newsom, me, from 2022 and 2023. 2022 is when the SPLC story came out, right? So I was on their radar. I didn't do anything. I was at January 6th. Yes. I didn't fight. I wasn't there when anybody went in the Capitol. I spoke out at my kid's school board meeting. Yes, I should have the right as a father to do that, right? And then Southern Poverty Law Center writes a hit piece on me. I'm a domestic terrorist. And then all of a sudden, FBI's got 346 pages on me. So that shows you how they weaponize the DOJ. And that's why I hate this fucking judge. That's why I'm calling them out on behalf of myself for what they're doing to Mike.
Yeah.
We ran FOIAs on the company. and ran FOIAs on the company. They're supposed to get back to you within 30 days, right? And I think it was like February we ran a FOIAs on us, and they said that there was too many words. They were going to send us an email of all the key words that they want us to narrow them down.
Yeah.
That was like 2.5 weeks ago. We're still waiting for that email. They said we're lucky we're going to get it by June 30th. Any FOIA request anyway.
Yeah.
Ann hasn't even. I don't think Ann's gotten even a response from FOIA about us.
Yeah.
So, how does that? Your rules and regulations are to get back to the American citizen in 30 days, and you ignore them.
Mike, I did my FOIA in February, right? And then they got an extension. They got back to me. The FBI said we came up with 346 pages on Terrence Newsom, and my address and everything. And then they said that we can give you the first 50 pages in 9 months. If you want all of the pages, it's going to take 45 months. I got the emails. I think I sent them with you, Mike.
Yeah, we put them on here before.
Yeah. So it's like I'm 1 year into it. I keep sending them emails. They keep pushing me off. What the fuck? You guys know you got 346 pages on me. You found them. Why didn't you give me the first 50 back when you said you were? It's a year now. It's a year. I got nothing. Because they're hiding something.
Right. If they don't want to give it to you, it means they're hiding something. And and that's how our going from civil to criminal came about. When our lawyers found out that the SDNY and the SEC were communicating, we asked for the communications, and they basically said, ask again, and we're going to indict.
You got to be kidding me.
Is this a USSR or is this the United States? Right? Like that's
so.
Like, I mean,
because you wanted more information, accurate information that could have disproved their civil case, they move it over to criminal to put more pressure on you and assumedly pressure you into making a deal. And then since that didn't happen, then they just railroad you. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, do you have any closing statements? And after Mike's done, Mike, I want to say something. But do you have any closing statements? And listen, people that are watching, please share this wherever. Tag Trump people, tag whoever, because we got to make sure we got to do our best to see somebody in his sphere sees this, right? I really believe if he does see it, he will do something.
I think so. I believe he will do something. The problem is he's got so much stuff being thrown at him that somebody's got to be like, look at this.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's got to be like all these things need to be reposted. Like I'm hoping that I do one and it kind of goes viral because it's got to be like a fly in the summer. That's the fly that gets stuck in your
head. Right. Yeah.
That's the way that the interview needs to get, right? It needs to be that.
So please repost it. Repost it and share it, all right?
And then repost it again, and then repost it again.
Tag your friends. And he's going through, I was lucky. I didn't go to prison or anything. I didn't do anything wrong. Just like with him, I was lucky. Oh, I did lose my job at 23 years because of these fuckers labeling me a terrorist. I had a big job. I didn't lose millions, but I made a lot of money. $500,000 a year. I lost a fucking 23-year job because of this shit, because they labeled me a terrorist and they kept hitting my boss, and they used not my boss, my CEOs. I have a 400,000 person company I work for, Mike. They were tagging our customers. They were tagging the CEOs. They're big international customers, tagging my CEO in Paris, saying I was a terrorist because the fucking SPL wrote a story about me. All of a sudden, 10 days later, I'm labeled a domestic terrorist 2 years after January 6th, a year after the big school board meetings, because the left, they weaponized the DOJ, and the Southern Poverty Law Center works with the FBI and says they're terrorists and go after them. That's exactly what's happened to you in a different scale with respect to the white collar crime. That's why I'm passionate about it. That's why I'm saying fuck you to this judge and prosecutor, and don't blame him for it. I'm saying it myself.
How are they allowed to put terrible press about you, and you just they expect you to sit in the corner in the fetal position and just take it?
Yeah.
How are they allowed to do that, right? That's an infringe. So you're blocking public opinion right out of the gate. How are you supposed to be tried by a jury of your peers if with 35 people jury selection, they blocked 4 people? One lady who knew everything about pre-IPO because she said all her neighbors were in the business. They blocked financial advisor. They blocked a financial attorney, and they blocked a CPA.
Yeah, why
You
try to
won.
block that? Because they knew that those people would know the truth. People have to
Exactly.
understand. They know the IPO. They know what Mike was doing. There's a reason, right? I mean, yes, it's standard for the prosecution and defense to go through it, but this shows a pattern of, oh, fuck, we got to block these people. You know why? Because they know the truth, right?
It's about
Jury
narrative
selection,
control.
that lady when she said all her friends and neighbors were in the pre-IPO world, so she knows. They do a sidebar with her, right? And then all of a sudden they get her, and it gets on the record. The stenographer, she's like, everybody pre-IPO charges whatever they want. She said that. I'm like, that was it for them to try to block it out.
Yeah, again, let me say this
You
again for
want this
people.
lady.
When you get a pre-IPO opportunity, yes, not all of them work out, but in the generally, the good ones do, right? It's like winning a fucking lottery ticket, right? I mean, it really is. It depends on the
Buying a better
companies.
lottery ticket. Buying a
Yeah,
better lottery.
yeah, it really is, right? So, that's why that woman with Mike reference is like, charge whatever. Be like, yeah, shit, I don't care. Do whatever. Give me a chance. Give me an opportunity to compete with these big companies. That's the crux of what happened here. And the money people from New York were bitching, and they influenced this to happen. That's what happened.
We gave the regular guy a seat at the table, which is what President Trump ran on.
Nope.
He ran on. I mean, think about it this way, right? A friend of mine, a friend of a friend, invested in the fund. The guy works at a BMW dealership. He's a mechanic. He's in the back doing all changes. Probably not making
Yeah.
a lot. He's back there making a decent living. That guy bought Palantir. I don't remember how much he invested, but Palantir, I think he sold it at like $200 a share. I think last year, and he paid for his daughter's wedding in the Amalfi Coast in Italy. When would that guy would have been able to achieve that ever if it wasn't for President Trump's rules that created a company like mine to be able to do that guy achieve his dream?
It would have been in a VFW hall.
Yeah.
Right.
I grew up on the South Side. I'm being sarcastic, but my friends didn't have weddings there, so I'm not being disrespectful. I am good. I mean, we did have a lot
But
of weddings.
it's still a big difference, right?
Yeah.
If that was his daughter's dream for her whole life, and he was able to achieve it as a father when she got married, and he was able to do it, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And there's so many other stories, and there's also so many terrible stories of so many close friends of mine, 20-year friends that invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in the fund, and now they're screwed
because it went to the receivers.
Yep.
Right.
Or they didn't go forward with the acquisitions of the IPO stuff. Then they seized all that shit.
Right. No, they have all the inventory. They just milking it.
Yeah.
And another thing is the receivers, they're supposedly to wind down operations.
Yep. So Mike,
do
you have a
company and they're running it? They're still running it. So they're like, we're not shutting this down. We're good. We're making money.
Yeah. So do you have a last closing statement you'd like to say? And we will have you on in the future. It'll be on a phone call, but we're gonna. Well, hopefully it won't.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not.
I'm just. But even if it is, you're gonna be back on here regardless. All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be celebrating. So that.
Yeah.
We'll do that if we're celebrating. We're doing it in person.
Yeah. So you have any last statements you want to say, Mike?
I just hope and pray that President Trump sees this. To either. I mean, at this point, I just want to be granted a pardon and have this nightmare over, and then I'll figure out then my next battle.
Yeah,
because this is unfair. They're doing it. Jim Jordan says, "Oh, they could do it to you. They did it to me. They've been doing it to the regular guy."
Yeah.
They just caught on because they did it to them recently.
Yeah. Tapping their phones and shit. Yep. So you guys, please, I'll say it again. If you're on Facebook, just push it out there. If you're on X, retweet it, and tag your friends. We got to try it. Tag Donald Trump, Donald Jr., everybody, right? Do whatever you can to try to get this out there so we can help Mike and especially his family show the truth on these fucking scumbag judge and prosecutors that are going after people like us, right? Because we don't agree with their crazy policies. Now, Mike Lauber, before you close, I just want to tell you guys I was just told before the show that these leftist Marxists are supposed to go to the Daily Center tomorrow, downtown Chicago, and they're going to raise the Palestinian flag over the American flag. So I got to validate that. I will be down there confronting these scumbags tomorrow. So stay tuned on that, all right?
They really have no allegiance to our country whatsoever.
How's that legal? You should have ICE right there rounding them all up and just.
It is illegal.
You should just have ICE waiting for this to happen and round them up.
Oh my God, that's a whole new show, Mike. They fucking attack ICE here, just like in Minneapolis. They follow them, they dox them. They dox. I got a friend, ICE agent that sold his home. They doxed his home. They're in front of his fucking home with his wife that just had a baby.
Terrible.
Evil.
We're towing down the line of a holy war coming.
Yes, we are. That's why I'm so passionate about what's happening to you and other people. We got to show people have to wake up, man. We're in the war and we're losing. You guys, we're losing this war. Trump is just a Band-Aid, a temporary Band-Aid. And we have so many Republicans that don't give a fuck and they're part of the deep state. And we have to expose this stuff because the regular mainstream media don't give a shit about Mike or me or any of us.
No
matter, like I said the other day, no matter how stupid and unreal these Democrats are, they do run as a cohesive unit.
When they get power,
unit of hate, and we need to band together the same exact way to take them down.
Yes,
because I'm the first. Listen, what I'm facing is hell, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. And all I want to do is find a way to pay it forward after this is over. And if I can pay it forward right now too with my issues, I'll do it. Because I believe this is my mission going forward to make sure that this never happens to anybody else ever again.
Yes, and I give you so much respect for having the balls to do this. Right before days before his sentencing, folks, you got to understand this. He's going before the enemy.
Yep.
Who already found him guilty, right? Off of bullshit. The prosecutor who's trying to twist the arm of the judge to punish him for being on our show and other shows. To punish him in America, right? So that says everything. That and all the other bullshit that we talked about, these guys. This is political retribution that they're trying to come after Trump and anybody that likes Trump and try to teach us a lesson. So please repost this, share it. Let's try to get this out there and let everybody from our side see what's going on.
Well said. All right, guys. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. We'll be back next Tuesday with even more. Thanks again, guys.